Welcome everybody. It's Whitey Cup. This is BJ from BJ and Brave, changing lanes. You know us. What are you trying to do, and where you're trying to go? Because life is short. And I'm with my guest today, Eric, the Medicare representative on enrollment back in the U.S. And I'm thankful he agreed to have a quick interview questions about Medicare and Medicaid process for being abroad. So thank you, Eric.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, well, the big thing is with Medicare, the biggest issue is that it is a U.S.-based insurance. It is not designed for coverage outside of the U.S.
No coverage at all, any form of fashion?
Not with regular Medicare.
Not with regular.
Okay. If you do have some coverage with the supplementals, whether it's a Medigap supplemental plan,
The Medicare.
or whether it's with Medicare Advantage. But Medicare Advantage is even more restrictive from the standpoint that it is managed care. It uses network and things where Medicare with a Medigap plan is non-network based, gives you a lot more freedom. The big issue is that if you're planning on living abroad long term, Medicare, even with those supplements, they're really designed for the first 60 days of your travel.
First 60.
That's it. You go beyond 60 days and generally the coverage does not last. It's designed for travel. So are you required to get Medicare A and B? So A, you're going to get automatically.
Okay.
Now that one's not a big deal. A is hospitalization care. It's got no additional cost for 99.9% of Americans probably.
That's a plus. No additional cost for my Social Security, everybody.
Right, yeah. So, and it's not that it's free, it's just that they've pre-taxed you your whole life for Part A already. So you don't have to pay that tax when you get in.
Now you mentioned 60 days. If I'm out the country for 60 days, can I use it if I was dealing with maybe ongoing cancer or stroke issues? Or
You
heart
can.
issues?
The way it works is if you have Medicare and one of those types of supplements, if something like that comes up, it does cover you. And it's basically based on a $250 deductible, which is nothing versus what we're used to. And then it's an 80-20 benefit. So pretty much what we've been used to with healthcare in America.
Okay, same.
But there is a $50,000 lifetime limit. And in most countries, that's going to last you forever. It's America, that's so darn expensive.
But to be clear, that makes it only the 60 days, right? It's only the first initial 60 days if you're outside the country.
Right.
Everybody, only 60 days if you're outside the country. So don't say day 61, can they cover you? They're not going to do it. So,
No.
Thank
So the big question is, if you're going to live abroad, should you even take Medicare? And that's where the complications come in, because the government basically requires you to have creditable health care when you become 65 and beyond. And creditable is either Medicare itself or a corporate plan, a group health care plan. And it cannot be COBRA. COBRA doesn't count. It has to be through an employer-based plan, which is not going to be the case for most people. So if you know with high certainty that you're going to move out of the U.S. and not return, you just don't want to have a U.S. life anymore, you want to stay in Thailand or wherever it is, Portugal, wherever, as long as you're sure you're not going to come back, you can not take Medicare. You can get your Part A, that's nothing, and you don't have to take Part B, which is going to cost you close to $200 or probably more than $200 a month starting next year, and save that money.
okay, save that.
But if you ever change your mind and decide to come back to the U.S., you're very high likelihood will have lifetime penalties assessed. They're going to be exorbitant the longer you're out of the country because it's cumulative. Now, if you are in a situation where, hey, I'm not 100% sure, I want to test it out, I want to live in this country for a year, maybe 2 years, test it out, I would highly advise that you go ahead and get your Medicare Part B so you have that option when you go back without having lifetime penalties. Okay, it is going to cost you some money, just need to budget that in, but at least if something crazy happens and you decide you have to go back to the U.S., you have coverage that is not penalized, because that cumulative penalty I've seen people with hundreds and hundreds of dollars of penalties, and the way the government works with the penalties is that it's a lifetime penalty. They assess it every month for the rest of your life. Even if you fix the problem, once it's incurred, it is a forever penalty. You never get rid of it.
Okay, so I have a question. With your time being in Thailand and from your own personal experience, if a person has no clue about the infrastructure of Medicare at all, and you know that by a certain age that they're going to have this Medicare expense, what is just your unadulterated suggestion to that person?
Well, it depends on how far out they are, right? Because Medicare changes every year. There's new regulatory changes, but they really need to find an expert they can trust. Personally, I cover from Virginia all the way down to Florida, so the entire East Coast, so the East Coast, so I can help anyone in that area. But if they're in another part of the country, they're more than welcome to contact us because we have sister agencies that we know other people that are quality brokers in other parts of the country we can refer them
What's
to.
the name of the agency?
Medicare Experts, and our parent company is Optimum Financial Brokerage because we deal with all facets of retirement and things. But yeah, if they need to find us, they can go to yourmedicareexperts with an S.com, yourmedicareexperts.com. They can reach out to us.
Thank you.
But the key that complicates the whole Medicare part is that when you get Part B, which is the medical part, the government opens a once-in-a-lifetime window, and it only stays open a few months, where your pre-existing conditions don't count. You could have cancer, and you can get the best supplement in the world, and they must take you. So this is a big deal because if you're in a situation where you want to live out of the country, and if you take your Part B to give you the access to come back, then the issue there is that you burn through your once-in-a-lifetime window, even though you still have access to keep your Medicare when you get back to the United States without a penalty. You've lost that once-in-a-lifetime window to get like a Medigap plan. You can get a Medicare Advantage when you come back, but of course those plans are considered by most people, not as good with the healthcare part because it's managed care, there's pre-authorizations, there's co-pays. You always have options. But if you are really concerned, I know some people who grab Medicare Part B and they'll go ahead and grab a supplemental just in case. But then you're paying even more, right? You're paying the Medicare fee, which is about $200, and then you're also paying a supplemental fee, which is another $120 to $150. So you're going to come out of pocket $300, $350 as a safety net. But if you do come back, then you have the best healthcare available in the country because you have no co-pays at all, no matter how sick you are. No network, you can see everyone, and those plans don't even have a pre-authorization requirement. The insurance company, if Medicare says it's a payable claim, they can't deny the claim.
Okay.
So that's why people love those plans. But that adds another level of complication because if you are coming here as a trial, moving out of the country as a trial run, some people may want to get Medicare, but if they don't also get that supplement, they burn through their once-in-a-lifetime window of exclusion of pre-existing conditions.
So should they get that? Should they get it?
Well, that's the question. Is everyone's different. Some people don't have the financial means to do that.
If you do.
To do that. If you do, by far, if you do, that's the safest route because you cover yourself if you ever have to come back to the U.S. with the ability to go anywhere in the country and never have to pay for your health care.
Okay.
Right? And that's an incredible peace of mind. And America is the most expensive country in the world for healthcare. So that is great peace of mind. The issue is that, of course, with inflation every year, your Medicare costs will go up and your supplemental costs will creep up, just like everything does in our lives.
Oh, so not a set in stone price. If you get it at, say, 5 years earlier, it will still be the same price 5 years down the road?
No, and it's never been, right?
Never been.
Our whole lives, it's never been. And so people think it's like certain types of life insurance, and I'm like, no, it's healthcare.
Oh.
There's inflationary pressures, especially in medical inflation, that hit, and those prices will continue to rise as you age as well. So people who are going to retire need to budget not just their entry cost, but their long-term cost as to how much it's going to be. And you'll get COLA increases, with Social Security and everything. But a lot of times that's just enough to keep up with the increases that they hit you on with Medicare.
Now, is that part of, is Medicaid, I mean, is that part of that package or that separate package?
So Medicaid is different. That's run by states, and that is a financial assistance program for low-income Americans. So
I feel low income.
well, I know you do, but the government's not going to consider you low income. So you've got to be really low income to get that. And it is basically financial assistance for people who just don't have the means.
Okay.
And that comes in and pays for the cost of Medicare. And if you have Medicaid, depending on what level of Medicaid, there's programs available that will give you unbelievable benefits. But it is based on the state and the county in which you reside. So that is even more segmented and even a little more complicated. But that's a whole different thing with Medicaid. You've got to be very, very low income.
And that's for particularly in the States and the U.S. only?
Only.
Okay.
Only.
So no abroad for that?
No, that's not an option. Though, of course, if you live abroad, you may not need the Medicaid because life is so much cheaper elsewhere.
Now, this question I asked, even though I can't use it abroad, can I order maybe equipment like my bedding, wheelchair, or hover around and ship it abroad?
Well,
With
you
Medicaid?
can.
People can have that
Well,
option.
with Medicare, it's possible, but it's not practical because the shipping costs. Like, I shipped a whole bunch of stuff from the U.S. and it was worth it because I shipped a ton of stuff, but it was $3,000 to get a small little, cargo box on a ship that I shared with thousands of other companies and stuff, where you can go out and get a hospital bed here, fully motorized and everything for a few $100s. Yeah, way cheaper. When that's thousands of dollars. Yes, it's only a few $100s here.
Big difference.
But for anyone moving abroad, they really need to sit down because it's not going to be a one-size-fits-all. Not at all. It comes down to a lot of what is their conviction level to live abroad. If they are sure that's what they want, it makes it a little easier. You can just defer Medicare and not take it, and you save that money. But if there's a chance you may want to come back, if you don't take it, international coverage by far is not creditable. You will get a penalty, and because it's not group health care. Unless you get employed by another company here that has creditable group healthcare coverage, and then you've got to talk and make sure that it actually is creditable. Because the last thing you want is a penalty, because the government doesn't have much of an appeal process on that. I haven't known a single person that has gotten away from the penalties once assessed. It's difficult. But if you might come back, it's good to not have the penalty, even though you're going through it.
Excuse me. And so how do you avoid the penalties?
You take your Medicare.
You take it at 65 enrollment.
You just got to pay for it, even though you're not going to use it. It's your fallback that if you go back in the U.S., you have access to health care without huge penalties being assessed. And then you can always get a Medicare Advantage plan, which is generally an improvement on basic Medicare.
So basically,
but you sacrifice your ability to get a Medigap supplement.
Oh, the Medicare part.
Because that's going to be based on medical underwriting. Now, there are a few states in the U.S. that will give you access on your birthday. It's called the birthday rule, but that's not all states. And it's controversial because some people say, hey, that's great, it gives me access later on. Some other people say that's not fair. I planned ahead, and now my premiums are going up 40% because they're giving all these other people, sick people access late.
What you're saying is, just for a little bit more clarity, is if you decide to move abroad and you know that you might be going back to the States to see family members or whatever the case may be, when you move abroad, deduct the Medicare cost expense from your budget.
If you feel you're there's a chance you might ever move back.
Well, you know that even if you go back for just medical reasons, for whatever reason, because we are aging, right? It's just out of pure wisdom to actually take the Medicare benefit.
And that depends on your point of view as well, right? Because like where we're at, Thailand, the healthcare is outstanding.
It is outstanding.
Outstanding. You can get better health care than some of the top level plans in the US here in Thailand for the cost of 2 or 3 months premium.
Yeah.
That's it. 2 or 3 months premium, you got health care for the whole year that's at a higher level and like some of the best hospitals that are like resort hotels that you go into.
We experienced
Right.
that here.
Right. Yeah, we've already
You can do
experienced that.
And those people, when they go back to US, they just get travel insurance. They reverse it. So in the US, we get travel insurance when we go out of the country. Your home's here, you get travel insurance there when you go back to the US. So that's an option to reverse it, but that also depends on, you know, are you really holding on to Medicare to go home or not? If you to move home.
You're not holding on to it.
Yeah, it's financial as well as lifestyle and everything. And then I've heard of people saying they came to Thailand and they were living the dream. Everything's so cheap, and they went crazy, acting like movie stars and just spending, and they ran out of money. They went crazy instead of living reasonable, and then they moved back to the U.S. And then the thought on that is, well, how does that help your finances? The U.S. is significant. It is 300 to 400% more expensive. So I'm not sure how that helps finances. But when you move abroad, you've got to have a plan. You've got to have some discipline. Even if the cost of living is so low, you just can't be stupid about it.
You have to plan for everything.
100%. Yeah, and that's just part of the adulting that some people forget.
So Medicare it is important to make sure you enroll in it, to have backup coverage.
If you think you'll ever want to move back.
Can you unroll after maybe a year or two? So I don't think I'm gonna need that. Everything working out in
you can stop
not
it.
just Thailand but Brazil or Spain is working out well.
You can stop it at any time,
Okay.
but for the time that you stop, if you ever go back again, there's a window where you're going to get a penalty, and that penalty's forever.
Still get a penalty, everybody.
Yeah. So that's one of the things, because the rule of the government, U.S. government, is they want you paying into the system when you're capable, because honestly, they need the healthier, younger seniors to help pay for the unhealthy older seniors. That's the way healthcare works, right? You get a pool of people, and the healthy people pay for the unhealthy people, and then you just rotate through.
Over and over.
Right. And so Medicare is not any different. It works the same way, but that's also why COBRA doesn't work. COBRA is essentially the same exact healthcare
Super high.
that you had while you worked, and your work plan was creditable. But COBRA is not. Why is it not? Because at that point COBRA is an option to take versus Medicare, and Medicare is saying, no, if you have an option, you're taking Medicare. And so they make COBRA not creditable, even though it's exactly the same healthcare you have while you're working.
Are y'all hearing this? This is an expert.
So,
Keyword, expert.
Well, last question I have for you: will living abroad, will my Medicare end if I'm living abroad?
No.
Even though I accepted it back at home and I'm living abroad.
As long as you're paying into it, it will continue.
Okay.
They want your premium.
Well, my premium. Okay, so America wants my money, everybody. So I'll get some trouble on that.
No surprise there. But no, they're going to take the premium. If they don't cancel it, you just can't use it. Right? If you go to the hospital in another country, you say, "Hey, here's my Medicare card." They're going to be like,
Look at you.
"Sorry,
Sorry.
no good here. It just doesn't work." Yeah. It's really just a fallback plan in case you ever have to go back. You know, and so that's what you just have to think about. And then some people are like, "Well, I'd rather not pay it. I'll just take my chances." And if they go back, you know, you may have a couple $100 penalty depending how long you've been gone. But the key is people are like, "Well, I'll just pay that penalty. No big deal." It's monthly. It never goes away.
It never goes away, everybody.
It is every month for the rest of your living days.
Ouch, ouch, ouch.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people are like, "Oh, I thought I had to pay the penalty one time." No, I'm like, you got to pay that every month until you are no longer on this earth.
Okay.
They will take it from your Social Security if you get assessed the penalty. And that's why I'm like, you don't want the penalty.
So everybody, the takeaway, make sure probably the smart thing is to enroll in your Medicare plan if you're going to live abroad, still to have it available. And if you have the financial resources to get, you mentioned, the supplemental and the Medigap plans for extra coverage to prepare you back in the States medical, then probably take it. Especially if you're already maybe leaving and not healthy physically or some mental conditions, it's best to have it because you may not like some of the abroad health insurances. I know here we have Cigna available, from the States, a Geo Blue, some other Thailand insurances, AAA, Alliance,
AXA.
AXA,
We've got a whole bunch of big ones.
and Pacific Cross.
Cigna's big here.
Cigna's big here. So there's some here you can get, but obviously you're spending more money for medical pre-coverage in advance, especially if you're having some medical conditions and not a healthy lifestyle.
And a lot of it has to do with where you go, right? Some countries have socialized healthcare that will accept foreigners after a certain amount of time or after certain provisions. If that's the case, then you have a little bit more leeway to not worry about the Medicare. But that's not everywhere, right? And so it really comes down to, do you know where you want to spend the rest of your life? And a lot of people don't. A lot of people say, oh, we'll go check it out for a couple of years and stuff like that. And if you're just testing it, I would say probably a good idea. Cover your bases just so you have a fallback plan.
Okay.
And then once you know for sure, like a lot of people come here and they say, this is paradise. I never want to leave. Go ahead and cancel it. Save that money. I mean, that's going to be over $2,400 a year just in Medicare premium charges. I mean, that pays for a lot of stuff. Actually, that will pay for just about pay for your entire insurance.
Yes.
In Thailand for platinum level care, right? So, yeah.
So, the takeaway on, as far as Bay is saying, watch this video over and over again until you get 100% clarity so that you can make an informed decision on how to proceed with Medicare, moving abroad.
Yeah, and you know, if you're not sure, just go to the website that I provided, and we have an email form that and come straight to me, actually. So I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah, more in-depth questions if you're willing to answer.
Yeah, because it's complicated. Everyone's situation is different. Some people are retired military. They have federal blue options, and some people have VA options and stuff like that. So there's a lot of complicated things. Some people retire from the state that they're working in, so they have county benefits or state benefits. So it can be very complicated, but we can address all that. But yourmedicareexperts.com, yourmedicareexperts.com, and you can hit the contact us form, and we can address your questions. And if it's really complicated, we just get on the phone.
We'll put that in the description.
And please provide your name again for the audience.
Eric Schofield. So I'm based out of North Carolina and Thailand.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Eric. We appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care. Thank you, Speaker.